Good morning. Welcome to our webinar. Today's topic, domestic relocation and custody disputes. Sorry about that. Welcome to 2022. We had a few webinars earlier on in the year. If you were on holiday or taking a break, I hope you had a wonderful rest and ready to tackle 2022. Nonetheless, it should be a good year. Things are looking much better. The curfew has been lifted. Things are moving forward. The courts are operating more optimally than they have for the last 2 years. And I'm very positive that things will work out much better this year than it has for the last 2 years. We are South Africans, we're very resilient, and we've been through worse, so we'll be fine. As mentioned, our topic for today is domestic relocation and custody disputes. What do I mean by domestic relocation? As opposed to international relocation, where one party wants to move to a different country. Here I'm talking about relocating to a different province or to somewhere further than where the minor child is currently residing. For example, if you live in Cape Town, from Cape Town to Paarl, about 40 odd kilometers, despite it being within the same province. So that's relocation. Question 1. I want to move from Cape Town to Durban. Do I need consent from the father? Okay, that's the heading. I divorced from the father of my child 3 years ago. We do not have a parenting plan, only an order stating that he sees the child every second weekend and half school holidays and special days. I met someone else and want to relocate to Durban. Do I need the father's consent? I know he will say no. Okay, so the first question I would pose is, what does the divorce order say? If the divorce order specifically explicitly stipulates that you require the other party's consent, then obviously you require the consent to relocate to a different province. If the divorce order is silent on that, then obviously we have to look at other various factors. We need to first obviously focus on what is in the minor child's best interest. If you ask me a question, are you committing something illegally, unlawfully by relocating with a minor child? If you are the primary caregiver without the other party's consent, I can't answer in the affirmative. I can't say you're doing something unlawfully or illegally because you're not violating any order. But you may be, on the fringes of violating the Children's Act because we're focusing on what is in a minor child's best interest. But at the end of the day, if it is in the minor child's best interest for you to relocate to Durban, then that's a factual thing. You'd obviously know as a primary caregiver what is in the minor child's best interest, and you will obviously have to exercise that. If the other party, in this example, is of the opinion that the relocation is not in the minor child's best interest, he has to obviously oppose it. And unfortunately, he would have to approach the court should the relocation be imminent. So how do I deal with a matter like this? Having laid down the foundation, there is no court order specifically prohibiting you from relocating, and you believing it is in a minor child's best interest and the other party believing it is not. Parents need to discuss these things before the relocation takes place. It needs to take place. The discussion needs to take place as soon as possible once you decide to relocate. If that specific discussion cannot take place because one party is against it, or it is impossible to take place because of the acrimony between the parties, then I strongly suggest they obtain the services of a third party, a social worker, a mediator, some expert that can assist the parties in resolving the specific issue. That's very important because we want to avoid litigation. Litigation can take very long, and litigation could ultimately mean that the minor child would remain in Cape Town longer than the minor child should. Because once litigation takes place, it might take a few months, and the minor child should obviously remain here because there's a legal dispute taking place. And should that take a few months, you'll have to stay here for the next few months, unless you can show the court it's extremely urgent, at least for now, for the minor child to go to Durban and ultimately return to Cape Town if the court decides that Cape Town is best for the minor child. But it's a difficult one. I doubt the court will do that unless there are specific circumstances. If the mediation does not work, if these discussions do not work. You still believe that your relocation is in the minor child's best interest. The other party is against it, does not believe so. Then, unfortunately, we may have to resolve to go into court. And the father in this specific scenario may decide to go to court and say, no, you know what, I'm going to court, I want to block the relocation. There is no court order blocking you from going to Durban, but I want to avoid that from happening, and I'll approach the court. So that might be my advice to the father in this specific scenario. I'll give you advice to both sides. The mother in this specific situation, if she wants to avoid avoid litigation, she may be the one that approaches the court urgently and advising the court, you know, I want to relocate, it is in the minor child's best interest. The father is against it. I want to avoid a situation whereby this matter gets delayed, we're litigating matters. So before I relocate and before I spend thousands of rands on relocating, moving furniture, plane tickets, changing of schools, etc., I want to resolve that matter now, because there will be a dispute. Then the mother would be the one taking the matter to court. So this is a scenario where there is no court order in place. So let's deal with question number 2. I am keeping an eye on the Facebook Live. If there are any questions or comments, you're welcome to pose it on the Advocate Muhammad Abduroaf Facebook page. Okay, there's question number 2 and the third question. I relocated but cannot get the mother's consent for the enrollment into the school. Okay. I relocated with my daughter to Gauteng when school ended in 2021. The school accepted my daughter for grade R. I said they will at some point need a father to sign. There should be the mother to sign documents. Or the heading should have been father. To sign documents, the father cannot be found. What do I do? Okay, so here one parent relocated with a minor child to Gauteng last year when school ended. The specific parent could not get hold of the other parent because the other parent was probably missing. Now the school is saying, and legitimately so, okay, this is grade R. We're allowing the minor child to be enrolled in grade R because it's not formal. Grade 1 has not started yet. Some people see grade R as a requirement. Some people say grade R is not a requirement, but that's something else. But if the specific school said, I will enroll the minor child into grade R, however, when the minor child maybe goes to grade 1, we will require the father's consent, something else. Maybe because of school fees, whatever the case may be. But we believe that you are the primary caregiver of the minor child. The father cannot be found. So my advice to the specific parent, or here we'll say is the mother, this specific mother is obtain a court order stipulating that you are the sole guardian of the minor child. That will avoid a lot of problems in the future. Consent issues regarding extramural activities. Sometimes the school require both parents to consent for the minor child to go on an excursion, maybe to a different province or to overnight somewhere else. Enrollment into school, high schools, and so on. You will have a lot of problems. Should a minor child be accepted to go overseas for a karate tournament, or for some child does extremely well, and visiting a different country would be in the minor child's best interest because he can benefit from that, his sport, etc. Then they'll ask, where's the father's consent? The Department of Home Affairs or the department that deals with these specific issues will ask, where is the father's consent? And then you'll have to explain, no, the father is missing, I cannot find the father, and so on. Therefore, I would advise you to urgently approach the court and tell the court, I'm having these problems, I cannot get hold of the father, or the father is somewhere, but I cannot, always get hold of him. I would like to obtain an order allowing me sole guardianship over the minor child when it comes to these type of issues. So that's my advice for question number 2. The third question, my mother relocated to a different province without my consent. What can I do? So the mother. I always exercise contact with my son. This is now the father. I always pay maintenance. The mother, without my consent, relocated to Cape Town. I do not believe it is in the minor child's best interest. There is no family there and no support. What can I do? Okay, here I would presume there is no court order in place and so on, but the relocation has taken place nonetheless. You cannot technically say the mother should now come back to Cape Town because she's the one that relocated. You can maybe argue that the child should come back to Cape Town. And if the child comes back to Cape Town, the question is, who will care for the child? Can you care for the child just as well as a mother can care for the child in her province where she is now at present? Do you have the means emotional, psychological, physical, financial, to have enough place for the minor child to reside by you, because that will be the argument. You cannot force a mother to come here because she's not, she's an adult, but the child is connected to her. So that is something which you'll have to consider and unpack. But ultimately, if you can convince the court that it would be in the minor child's best interest to remain in Cape Town, and you can care for the minor child, more than likely you will obtain that specific order. But I strongly doubt the court will order the mother, or tell the mother, the minor child should come back here, and if you do not want to come back here, the child should be in the father's care. The court may make such an order if the mother can care for the minor child. So those are the questions. If you have any comments, I do not see any. That's my short video to start off this part of the start of the year. I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope to see you online again soon. Have a lovely day.